know that this year I have talked on a certain topic, and that was self-recognition, recognizing what we are as Shia of Ahlul Bayt. What is the meaning of being a Shia of Ahlul Bayt? Then, because there is a saying of Imam Ali that know yourself so that you can know your God. And based on that, let's try to see what we are, what is a Shia, and once we recognize our identity, then we should be able to feel pride in our identity. So far, I have spoken on this topic in Urdu a couple of times, but today I was asked to speak in English. So I will try to continue the same topic in English instead of Urdu. Today, related to my topic, I want to discuss certain qualities of a Shia. A Shia of Ahlul Bayt needs to have certain qualities, and you've heard of most of them. They are like a Shia should be pious, then a Shia should be honest, but there are other qualities also, like the Shia should be knowledgeable, and a Shia should be wise. Ilm and hikmat, we have been told by the Prophet and by Imam Ali about the importance of knowledge and wisdom. There is the saying of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Seek knowledge from cradle to grave, everyone knows of it. And then there is a saying of Imam Ali where Imam Ali said that seek wisdom wherever you can find it, because wisdom is something that belongs to you. So other than that, there is one more quality that a Shia, a mu'min should have, and this is one quality which is not commonly spoken of, at least not as commonly as the other qualities that I have mentioned. So today I want to address that one quality, and that is, now this is something which is a little bit difficult for me to express in English. In Urdu, it is known as firasat. There is a saying of, I will try to explain to the best of my ability what it means in English. There is a saying of Imam Ali that beware of the firasat of a mu'min. What is firasat? What I have understood of that, I will try to convey it to you. It is foresight. It is farsightedness. It is to be analytical, to analyze a situation and act accordingly, and thus safeguard yourself. And as I said, the saying of Imam Ali is that beware beware of the firasat of a mu'min. To use a colloquial Urdu term, basically, what Imam Ali is saying here is, don't take any panga with a mu'min. Because a mu'min can, with his foresight, with his farsightedness, with the firasat, a mu'min can spoil not only your world, your hereafter also. So what is, so basically this farsightedness, this foresight, this analytical way of thinking, looking at things, this is something which we should all inculcate in ourselves. We are, these days, more than ever, we are surrounded by enemies. Enemies come to us from all directions, from outside as well as from inside. And we have to be aware of this. We have to try to protect ourselves, protect our deen and our dunya both from these enemies. And we can do it only with farsightedness and with foresight. And also also, you have to remember one thing, that as I said, so these qualities are actually somehow related, because a person cannot have foresight or farsightedness, or at least if he has it, it won't be that effective unless that person has knowledge and wisdom also. Salawat ala Muhammad. An example of how uh, this firasat uh, was used by a great person in Islamic history to save himself. Um, I would like to illustrate what I'm trying to say by this example from the life of a great Shia scholar. His name was Raja Nasiruddin Tusi, and he was a great alim and marja. Not only that, he was a leading scientist of his time. He was probably the world's greatest geographer of his times, and probably the greatest astronomer of his times. He was basically, in modern terms, he could probably be described as a super genius. And his times were the same times as we have the Mongol Emperor Genghis Khan. In fact, our history says that Genghis Khan was converted to Shiism by Raja Nasiruddin Tusi. Now, this is a story that, of course, as I said, Shias are always surrounded by enemies. So even in Genghis Khan's court, there were enemies of Qajas who saw his influence on the emperor, and they tried to demolish him, to destroy him in different ways. And they were looking for opportunities. One such opportunity presented to them when Genghis Khan's mother died. And at that point, these people, those were some Sunni scholars, they approached Genghis Khan and told him that, look, now you will be burying your mother, and when you bury her, you know that in the qabr, once you are buried, the Munkir Nakir will come and ask questions. Now your mother, like she was a newly converted Muslim, she along with you, and she does not have much knowledge of Islam. How will she answer the questions of these Munkir and Nakir? So Genghis Khan said, yeah, you're right. So what should be done? So they said, why don't you bury Khaja Nasiruddin also with your mother, so that he can answer the questions on her behalf. So Genghis Khan thought it was a good idea, and he called Khaja and said that, look, this is my plan, this is what I'm going to do. I cannot let my mother go alone to face the angels Munkir and Nakir. So Khaja Nasiruddin said, okay, right, you've got the right idea, but look, I think you know that I am a good scholar. Probably I am better than those other scholars that you have in the court. So why don't you save me for yourself? Because when you die, you will also probably need some guidance. Why don't you save me for yourself and bury one of those people with your mother? Salawatullah Muhammad. So that is what was done, basically. So that is how, this is firasat. This is how Khaja Nasiruddin Tusi was not only able to save himself from his enemies, he was able to get back at them. And this is what, there's one more thing. When you are safeguarding yourself, there is a limit that you should never cross. A Shia never crosses the limit of decency. Even when you are fighting your enemies, that limit of decency, that limit of humanity is there. It does not mean that if you are trying to, if someone is attacking you and you are attacking back, then you are trying to do something which is un-Islamic. But you have got to be prepared to defend yourself morally ethically, spiritually, physically, in whatever way possible. You have to be ready to defend yourself from the enemies around you. These enemies are not some people who will attack you physically. Like 99% of the times, the enemies don't attack you physically. They attack you morally. They attack you spiritually. They attack you through your faith. They try to weaken your faith, strengthen your faith, and have enough knowledge to be able to defend yourself. Not only that, but to be able to answer whatever doubts they try to create, and in fact go on the offensive and try to create doubts in them. As they say, sometimes offense is the best defense. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
A situation 1400 years ago, a situation arose where Islam was surrounded by enemies, and these enemies came from within. They called themselves Muslims, and they ruled the Islamic world. And to defend against that attack on the roots of Islam, there was one person, the grandson of the Holy Prophet, Imam Hussein.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Now you have to see the difference here. Till now we were talking about firasat of a moment. Here in Imam Hussein, we don't just have a moment. We have the grandson of the Holy Prophet. We have the son of Kulle Iman. Here it is ultimate firasat. And the result of that firasat can be seen today. Islam has been safeguarded through the action of one person supported by a handful of his companions. And it has been safeguarded so much that Hussein and his principles have become a part and parcel of our lives. Hussein is there in our blood. His message courses through our veins, and it will go on until the day of judgment. There are examples you find even today. There are examples of the inspiration that Hussein has imparted to people. There is an Urdu poet, Iftikhar Arif. There is a couplet by him in Urdu which says that Hussein tum nahi rahe, tumhara ghar nahi raha. Hussein tum nahi rahe, tumhara ghar nahi raha. Magar tumhare baad zalimon ka dar nahi raha. So this was Hussein, that he safeguarded Islam in such a way that till the day of judgment, the fear of oppression, the fear of tyranny has been removed from the hearts of the free-thinking people of the world. And this you can see in modern times also. A few decades back, when Afghanistan was controlled by Russian forces, there was an insurgency. People were fighting the Russian occupancy, and small children, 13, 14 years old boys, they would carry bombs the way you see suicide bombers these days. They would go in the army and detonate themselves, killing several people along with them. And these boys, they were doing it voluntarily. There was an interviewer from BBC who interviewed some women whose children were killed in such a way. And she asked the interviewer, these women, how could you, as a mother, how could you let your son go there and kill himself, blow himself apart? How could you do that? And the reply, this has been recorded in the annals of BBC, the reply of those mothers was, look, do you think our children were better in any way than Honor Muhammad? That is the kind of spirit that Hussein has imparted to all the time to come after him until the day of judgment. Salawat ala Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد